Within the earth, from waters blue, fairies are whispering to me and to you.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there.
I'm Claire Casely, the fairy whisperer. In the air of sylvan nights, we'll find our way by fairy light. Fairies whisper throughout the land. It's time to walk hand in hand. To catch a fairy whisper, you have to listen closely. Listen with me. So, hello, welcome to the Fairy Whispering podcast. And with me this evening, I've got Matt Thompson, who's come back onto the podcast to talk to us about some ghostly folklore from his part of Cornwall, which is down in Newlyn, that area. And Matt is a local folklore researcher, and we've spoken before. And welcome, Matt. Thanks for coming back on. It's lovely to have you back
Hello,
on.
sir.
Hi.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about what you've got to share, some of the spooky stories that you have. And so, yeah, wherever you want to start, I'd love to hear your research.
Yeah, so I've selected five of what I feel are the best stories. So the first one I found in an article in the Cornishman from 1948, and that concerned a lady from the village of Mousehole down the coast from me, called Dolly Pentreath.
Mm-hmm.
She's very famous because she was one of the last Cornish language speakers when she died. Not quite the last one. There was also a William Matthews of Newlyn who died slightly later, but she was the most famous of the latter-day Cornish speakers. And I just happened to find an interesting excerpt about the fact that her ghost was supposed to haunt the village of Mousehole on account of the fact that she had been misburied, essentially. So I'm just going to read an excerpt from this newspaper article. So here we go. Old Dolly's Ghost. Dolly Pentreath was buried at Paul, which is the village above us, it's above Newlyn and Mousehole on the hillside, and a monument was erected over the spot where she was supposed to have been buried. The old dame had been in her grave several years when it was found that the stone had been misplaced. How it should have been misplaced had long been a matter of conjecture. Prince Bonaparte, who was a relative of Napoleon Bonaparte, strangely enough, been in correspondence on these matters with Mr. Bernard Victor of Mousehole, asked him to undertake the removal of the stone to Dolly's true resting place. There was a popular belief that the old dame had haunted her native village at night ever since her death, and that there would be no rest for her departed spirit until the true resting place of her bones had been acknowledged.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's not a particularly well-known story about Dolly Pentreath, but it kind of illustrates the link between the ghost and the body, which needs to be treated properly.
And
Eventually, that was resolved.
so, do you know where she?
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. Do you know where she lived in Mousehole?
I do know where she lived. I can't think of the name of the street, but it's down by the harbour. It's easy enough to find if you go to Mousehole. It's on the western side of Mousehole.
Okay.
I can't quite think what her house is called, but yeah, it's easy enough to find online. You can tap in Dolly Pentreath Cottage, and there's several photos of it, both old and current.
Yeah. And where is her grave?
She has a little monument just outside Paul Church on the road.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
That's
so there's a
good.
little sort of obelisk type thing with the details about her on the edge of the churchyard up at Paul. So
Hmm.
if any of the readers happen to be down this way, it's quite easy to find the gravestone and where she lived, which is nice.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, nice story.
Yeah.
To go, yeah, to go with that.
So while I was
Yes.
looking for that, I found a second example from Newlyn about an improper burial.
Hmm.
So also from the Cornishman, but this time from 1883. So the theme of ghosts kicking off, so to speak, because their bodies haven't been properly treated is quite interesting.
Hmm.
I'm going to read this excerpt from the Cornishman. Superstition does not appear to have wholly departed from us yet, and if by all accounts to be true, there is still a good bit remaining amongst us. A story is going the round of Newlyn, which had best be given for what it is worth. Some 12 months since, a man died belonging to this place, and before he departed this life, he requested his friends to do certain things in connection with his burial, with which the said friends failed to comply.
Hmm.
So put out has the deceased been with these parties that it is said he has not left them to rest since, and they have at last exhumed the body and deposited it where they hope he may rest peacefully and trouble them no further with visitations. It is to be hoped that after the trouble and expense the friends have gone to, they may meet with some success. So
Oh,
that's the
wow.
whole story, basically. It's an improper burial that then results in hauntings, which is resolved by doing the burial properly. So that's
Hmm.
quite interesting, and I imagine
Yeah.
there's plenty of examples of that kind of story elsewhere in the country.
Yes.
Those are the two most local examples.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I've heard any in Devon. I suppose the most famous one is, people that are buried at crossroads, like Jay's grave on Dartmoor and things. And
Yes, I've heard of that. Is that the
yeah,
one where they say there's always fresh flowers that keep getting put there?
yes, that's one of the customs,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah,
Yeah,
associated with it.
yes.
Yeah.
So there's a third example from Penzance, and this one is about a haunted orchard haunted by the ghost of a Mrs. Baines. There's a
Oh.
few different sources about this one, but I'm taking this one from a book called Mousehole, A Documented History by Mike Buttery.
Mm.
Mike Buttery was quite a beloved local character, very well researched. So I'm going to read what he said about Mrs. Bain. So this is Chapel Street in Penzance. As it happens, I used to work in the garden next door to where I think the orchard was, and there's still some fruit trees there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So here we go. Mrs. Baines from Chapel Street in Penzance was condemned to weave a rope of sand from St. Michael's Mount to St. Clement's Isle, which is outside Mousehole. But as the sea keeps washing away the sand, she labours in vain. She was sentenced to this endless task for haunting her own home. Mrs. Bain owned a large house, which is now a restaurant in Chapel Street. This house also had a large orchard, and to protect her apples, she employed a guard. Suspecting that the guard was sleeping every night, she decided to rob her own orchard
Really? Oh my gosh.
and teach the guard a lesson. But the guard was awake, and he shot Mrs. Baines, who then died.
Oh my
Mrs. Baines was
gosh.
so annoyed by this that she haunted her own house for several years. So effective was her haunting that no one could live in her house for several years until it was exorcised by a priest
Yeah.
who commanded her to weave ropes of sand. So as long as the Mount, St. Clemens, and of course the sea are present, Mrs. Baines' haunting days are over. So
That is
that
brilliant.
it's a great story, and
Yeah.
there's a few different sources, but yeah, Mike Buttery's summation of it is quite good.
Hmm.
and she would be seen in the house and in the orchard. And I read somewhere that the ghost of Mrs. Baines would flutter up onto the garden wall like an old chicken, which is a very
Oh,
vivid
that's a
description.
good description.
Very strange description, but that's apparently what it was like.
Wow, an old chicken.
But yeah,
Gosh.
the condemned to
Hmm.
perform a pointless task
Hmm.
is a bit of a theme that you see in some of the Cornish folklore.
Yes. Yeah.
In the fairy faith in Celtic countries, Walter Evans Wentz describes a spirit laying on the old Newlyn Green, which is just over there in front of me,
Hmm.
and the spirit was condemned to empty the sea with a limpet shell with a hole in it.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
And there was a similar story about Tregeagle, who was some kind of wicked man who died, and then
Hmm.
he was condemned to try and empty out the sea with a limpet shell of some kind. So
Yeah.
giving the spirit a pointless task seems to have been a means of exorcism in the days of the old spirit layers.
Yeah. Because Tregeagle was the one that imprisoned Anne Jeffreys, wasn't he? Anne
Yeah,
Jeffreys,
that's
the
right. Yeah, the
who?
fighting fairy woman of Bodmin, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe that's right. Yeah.
Hmm.
I do have a second excerpt here about Mrs. Baines from Margaret Courtney. You'll probably know she wrote the book Cornish Feasts and Folklore
Hmm.
from the end of the 1800s. Her spirit was laid by a parson whose name he thinks was Singleton, and he succeeded in getting her away to the western green, west of Penzance, which was then spread over many acres of land where the waves now roll. Here this powerful parson single-handedly bound her to spin from the banks ropes of sand for the term of 1,000 years, unless she spun sufficiently long and strong of a rope to reach from St. Michael's Mount to St. Clement's Isle.
Hmm.
What he means by the Western Green is where Penzance Promenade is.
Hmm.
And just underneath that anecdote, there's an interesting little excerpt which says about Penzance Promenade. In my childhood, it was said to be one of the resorts of Spring Heel Jack, of whom I then lived in mortal dread. So obviously, Spring Heel
Uh,
Jack was mostly associated with London,
yes.
but there's this fascinating little anecdote to say that he was reported in Penzance, which I never knew. I happened to be just looking in the very back of the book in the notes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whether that counts as a ghost per se is difficult to say, but
Hmm.
yeah, that's an interesting little side note from the story of Spring Heel Jack.
Yeah, because he was reported in Devon as well for
Okay, I didn't know
jump.
that.
Yeah, jumping out at people in lanes.
All right, I never knew that.
So whether
Have to look
it's
it up. I like the
yeah.
story about the devil being in Devon and walking through the snow for all those miles.
Oh yeah, that's a great story. It's so
Enjoy that
fascinating that,
story.
isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm not sure
Mm.
if anyone ever worked out what it was, but
I don't think so. I still see various things come up on local website, local groups to do with Dartmoor, but I don't know if anyone's come up with a definitive answer yet. Mm.
I read somewhere that there was another instance that in the 1960s, but I haven't been able to find any
Oh,
details of it.
yeah, I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, it's an
Mm.
obscure little tidbit that I found somewhere, but I haven't been able to obviously find anyone to ask because I don't really know anyone in Devon, apart from myself, of course, now. But
Yeah, the only person that might know is Mark Norman that wrote the book on Devon folklore, which I have got here. I'll have to
yeah,
have a look in it and see if he's
yeah, it
that's
might be
something
worth
he's
asking about that because there was supposed to have been some
yeah.
kind of repeat event.
Oh right.
Yeah, and in the 1960s, I believe.
I wonder if that was in the really heavy winter that they had in the
I presume it
1960s.
must have been, yeah. But I
Hmm.
seem to recall that that was somewhat similar to the Spring Heel Jack incident in that it went over impossibly high walls.
Mm.
It's part of what made me think of Mrs. Baines, because of course the human woman wouldn't be able to jump on top of a wall like an old chicken, but
No,
for some reason, as a ghost, it was within her abilities apparently.
abilities. Yeah.
So
That description conjures up some really creepy images, doesn't it?
it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
I will find that particular excerpt and send it to you later.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think it was in one of Daphne du Maurier's books.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, quite a few people have wrote about Mrs. Baines, so there's a few different um, little sources, but I didn't want to get too bogged down in just that
Mm.
account. Um, so I have here an eyewitness account, which is actually from a friend. So this is somebody that I know,
Mm.
and this took place outside Tregarist Methodist Chapel, which is not quite local to me, but it's most famous for being the resting place of a witch called Granny Boswell, who I expect you've heard
Oh,
of.
I've not
She was
heard of her.
so she was one of Cornwall's more famous witches. As it happened, she got buried at Tregarist Methodist Chapel, and I have an account from a friend, which I've been given on the condition that I will not reveal his identity.
Mm. That's fair enough.
But yeah,
Mm.
a personal friend, so I can
Yeah.
guarantee the truth of it. So I'm just going to read his account now,
Okay.
and we'll get this recorded for posterity. Over 50 years ago, I was coming back from St. Just one dark, misty night. When I got to Tregarist Chapel, a ghostly figure drifted across the road in front of me. My hair, when I had hair,
Mm.
stood on end, and I almost, I probably can't say this online, but we nearly had an adult accident, we'll say. It
Ah.
was as real as it could ever be. I never told a word to anybody about it until a few years later when I was married first time around.
Mm.
Then wife was coming back from a night out with other women, and she was sitting in the front seat, and lo and behold, she and the driver saw exactly the same thing, just as I first described it. After I did some research and found that an old woman from many years ago when she died, her spirit has quite often been seen drifting across the road heading for the graveyard. I can assure you that this is all 100% correct and still freaks me out from time to time.
Oh,
So that's an
gosh.
account from my personal friend, and he said that the ghost looked like an old woman with a sort of a cowl on, or some kind of hood or cloak.
Okay.
So
Yes.
presumably that must have something to do with the ghost of Granny Boswell.
Yeah, maybe.
Difficult to identify ghosts,
Mm.
of course, but you know,
Mm.
that is the most famous person buried in that graveyard. So it would seem that she's still active.
I think it's always interesting when people see ghosts around graveyards, and you sort of think, well, why would they hang around graveyards?
It is interesting, but
Yeah,
then discussed near the start, they obviously want their bodies to be looked after properly, so
yeah,
I believe they get attached to the place where the body is.
yes, yeah,
I
that's
suppose
good.
in the broader spiritual context, might
Mm.
not be a good fate for a person to have.
And was it in a lane or just near the church? Is the lane of any significance or
Um, it was in the road that goes past the church. I've
right?
never been there, but Mary Jane tells me it's difficult to stop there because it's kind of right on the road,
Okay.
kind of
Mm.
difficult to walk to. I don't
Mm.
think the chapel is open anymore, so I can't really ask anyone if anything's happened recently.
Ah, that's interesting.
But you hear the term earthbound spirits occasionally, so I presume that is the kind of phenomenon that we're discussing here, as in the spirit gets attached to its resting place instead of moving on.
Yeah.
So that is what I presume a haunting is. They don't want to leave, so they don't go.
Mm. Yes, and there's quite a few roads that are haunted, aren't there, by spirits? So it's
Yes.
interesting. She was seen in a lane.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
little lane called Jack Lane down the other end of Newlyn there.
Mm.
That was supposed to be haunted by a phantom carriage. But as it turned out, there was a real carriage and it was full of spirits. So it was a story made up to stop people
Uh,
from seeing the smugglers. So it
oh,
wasn't
right. Yes.
spirits, but the other kind. There's a similar example down Lamorna. There was a headless rider of Lamorna.
Hmm.
In actual fact, it was a smuggler who would wrap a scarf around his head to conceal his face. Stories
Ah,
spread because it stopped people looking to see what was really going on.
yes, because that's what they did, didn't they? They made up
Yeah,
stories to scare
so
people. Yeah.
yeah, the phantom coach of Jack Lane. A
Mm.
newspaper clipping somewhere of a man recalling that he heard the coach rumbling by when he was a boy and he was too scared to look out.
Oh, wow.
Down Lamorna, there's a pub called the Wink from the smuggling time, so you would wink if you wanted alcohol. It's quite funny.
Oh, brilliant.
Very beautiful inside, but yeah, it's called the
Yeah.
Wink. If you
Wink.
happen to want alcohol, you'd have to wink and not ask for it out loud.
Oh, okay. I'll
Very
have
nice
to.
down the corner. There is
Yeah.
allegedly in the book The Living Stones, there's supposed to be a blue light which appears in the trees.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Ethel is Ethel
Colquhoun, yeah,
Calcoon. Yeah.
yeah. So that's quite close to us. It goes Newlyn, Maresall, and then Lamorna, which
Hmm.
does have quite a reputation for being haunted.
Yeah, because she was really fascinated with fairies, wasn't she? I think she
Well,
was.
yeah, it was a big subject.
Hmm.
Down Lamorna, there's a couple of accounts of the Mermaid's Rock, which was the kind of classical account of the mermaid appearing and warning of storms and luring the young men into the sea.
Hmm.
Little detail, unfortunately, but that's our nearest kind of mermaid folklore.
Okay.
Nothing
Definitely. Yeah.
associated with Newton or Marisol because I have looked in vain.
Hmm.
Down Lamorna, there is the Mermaid's Rock. And
Right.
there is also a creature called the sea bucker. On the last podcast, we talked about Bucker, the storm god.
Yes.
Down at Lamorna, this was a slightly different character, the Lamorna sea bucker.
Hmm.
He was supposed to have been a prince who was cursed by a witch, so he had to live in the water. So he had sort of hair like seaweed and skin like a conger eel, and he would kind of direct the fish and crabs into the fishermen's pots.
Oh, right. So he was a helpful spirit then.
Yeah, so he'd been cursed to be basically like a merman.
Right.
So he was a prince that had been cursed by a witch.
Hmm.
He lived in Lamorna Cove. That's from one of the volumes of Cornish Saints and Sinners, which was from 1909, I think.
Okay. Yes.
Quite remember who the author was.
No,
That's a great little story. And then, yeah, so it's not that much detail, but there's quite a long little story about some Cornish saints and sinners. So a bit like a merman.
mm, not heard that one.
Yeah, I'll send it to you
Mm.
when we get off this. But um, yeah, sadly, no Newlyn mermaid stories. The nearest one on the far side is Pengasic Castle.
Okay.
Lady Pengasic was supposed to be able to raise the mermaids with instruments and singing and whatnot.
Oh, was she? Oh,
Yes,
I'd like to hear about that one. That sounds fascinating.
yeah. I forget the details, unfortunately, but I'd have to go and sit down and get my mermaid notes out.
Lady Pengersic.
Yeah, it's Pengasic or Pengersic. I'm not quite sure which, and that's round the other side of the bay from us.
Wow. I'm interested in mermaids just because I've had my own uncanny experience
Yeah,
in a cove.
Really?
Yeah, a few. This was 2019,
Mm.
and I was had the fortune of staying in a converted fisherman's hut that had been turned into like a luxury cottage
Okay, right.
um, in this private cove on the
Yeah,
South Devon coast. It's no one else can go there unless you pay to stay there, sort of thing. And
yeah. Sounds very appealing.
yeah, it was. Oh, it was so nice. It was just the amazing cove. And the first night I was there, the wind sounded like a woman singing.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I was, so my boyfriend that I was with, he was off taking photographs and things. But I
Okay.
was just stood listening to the wind and I was singing back to the wind and it was like it was singing back to me.
Yeah,
And, and then the next day I went round to another little cove when the
yeah,
tide that you could only get to when the tide went out.
yeah.
And it's like an amphitheatre, all surrounded by high cliffs and rocks. And I could hear this singing coming from the sea, and
Mm.
it did sound like a choir. And I was singing back to it, and it was singing back to me. It's like a.
Ah,
It wasn't an echo or anything. It
no,
was. Yeah, it was really interesting.
exciting.
Mm,
That reminds me of there's a lady called Lamorna Ash, an anthropologist,
mm.
and she came here to write a book about the fishing industry in also in 2019, I think. And she was walking down the cycle path just there down below me, and she came upon a woman, and she was playing a song to the sea on a flute.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, not unheard of.
No.
Yeah, it's strange to think of all these things happening so close to me, but it's that kind of area.
Yeah, yeah, it is. There's so much, isn't there, around the coastline here, and yeah, some amazing stories and experiences. Have you
Think
heard
of
of any phantom houses or buildings in your part of Cornwall?
phantom
Mm.
houses.
'Cause there's a few in Devon.
No,
Hmm.
no, I can't think of any phantom houses. But since we're on the topic, I have just tapped in the word mermaids on our page, and there's an account from Paul's East in
Hmm.
Cornwall from 1950, which I found. So since we're on the topic, Paul's East is nowhere near here. I'm not quite sure where it is, to be honest. But
I think is it north? It's north coast,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
up the north somewhere,
Yeah,
but we don't travel much, so I don't know where it is. We're a bit like
yeah.
rednecks, quiet. We don't go anywhere. So this is from 1950.
Hmm.
Mrs. Macmillan of Polseath says an old man she knew in Polseath, Jonathan Bate, claimed to have seen a mermaid. Fishing off Pentire Point, he saw coming out of the water something with long hair over its head.
Hmm.
Suddenly, throws back its hair, shows its lovely face, and it was a lovely face. And I just gazed and gazed at it, and then I went straight down again. I never saw it again. They tried to tell him it was a seal, and he said, "Oh, that was no seal. I know a seal when I see one."
Yeah, that's the seals are very distinctive, aren't they? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
unless you're really, really short-sighted,
yeah. You'd never mistake one of the seals here for a mermaid.
no, because they got huge heads, haven't they, as well? They look like
Yeah, I mean,
dogs.
we have Sammy the seal here, and he's
Mm,
looks like the size of a small car.
yeah. So,
Interestingly, David Bentley Hart, the Eastern Greek Orthodox theologian, believes in mermaids. I
oh, does
discovered
he?
recently. He does, yes. There's an excerpt from one of his books here, and he says, "Of course, mermaids exist, or to be more precise, of course, water spirits and magical marine beings of every kind are real and numerous, and in certain circumstances somewhat dangerous."
Oh, has
Don't tend
he?
to hear that from Greek Orthodox, but
No, I wonder if he's had some sort of experience then.
Quite possibly, yeah. He's quite into the folklore, despite being Greek Orthodox. But we tend to find outside of the Protestant world, people are a little bit more open to these sorts of things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I've just gone
Mm,
into my notes there to Traditions and Hearthside Stories of West Cornwall,
mhm.
first volume by William Bottrell from 1870. And so this is The Mermaid of Lamorna Cove. Little cared they for the sinister signs and tokens of the ravens croaking and screeching over the carns, or for the dirge-like song proceeding from the Mermaid's Rock near Lamorna, on which the treacherous maid, whose dwelling is beneath the flood, was dimly seen combing her yellow hair through the curtain of mist that stretched across the cove. So lacking in detail, but
Mm,
quite a dramatic description.
yes.
And I've
Yeah.
also found you Lady Pengasic here. So this
Oh,
is from
brilliant.
Beast and Folklore by Margaret Courtney. In addition to being well versed in occult lore, Pengasic's wife was a fine musician. He could, with her harp, charm and subdue evil spirits, and compel the fish in Mounts Bay, also the mermaids who then dwelt there, to come out of the sea.
Oh, wow.
And since they
Yeah.
dwelt there then, in William Bottrell's account, he thinks that the mermaids were scared away by the steamships, the
Mm,
coming of the engines, basically.
mm. Yeah, that's one of the theories, isn't it? That folklorists have of that time, that the
Yeah,
industrial
yeah,
age
industrial
is,
revolution drove everything off.
yeah, but there's still people encountering these things. So,
Yes,
mm,
does still happen. Yeah.
yeah. Do you know the folklore museum in Falmouth?
In Falmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went there recently, and the proprietor told me that someone had been and seen the sea monster from the Falmouth Bay Hotel, one of the guests.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so Morgua, the sea monster,
Mm.
has been seen recently, according to the owner of the Falmouth Folklore Museum.
Oh, gosh.
Nice. I've not really heard. I've not come across much of that in recent years. I
Mm.
have made some inquiries.
Mm.
He did allege to me that one of the fishermen here in Newlyn has seen it as well, but I can't track down the person. Obviously,
Mm.
it's a bit of a taboo to discuss these sort of things.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, there's so many people that just don't want to come forward about
No,
their
so in
experiences.
1970, there was a veteran fisherman called George Vinicombe
Hmm.
who was fishing with another man called John Cock over off the Lizard somewhere, and they saw one of these sea monsters, and they were viciously mocked for it. But
Hmm.
fishermen know what they're looking at, and if it happens to be a sea monster, then they know what it is.
Yes. Yeah.
In the same year, there was a fisherman from Cadgwith Cove who saw one as well, sort of around the same area.
Hmm.
But I've been forbidden from revealing the name of the fisherman because he still has relatives in the cove.
Hmm.
But same thing, there is a taboo against reporting on these things, which is a shame, really. But that's just the way.
Yeah.
Uh, I won't ever say who it was.
No. No, appreciate that. I mean,
They
this.
might have passed on by now, I think, possibly.
Hmm.
But yeah. So
Hello, welcome back to the Fairy Whispering podcast. This is an extension of a chat that I had with Matt a few weeks ago, and for various technical reasons, we had to reschedule to do this part, which is about a haunted cottage.
right. So yeah, last time before our glitch, we were talking about Tonkin's cottage in Newlyn,
That's it. Yeah.
down at the west end of Newlyn by what they call the old Newlyn Green. There's an eastern green, in the present day on the other side of Newlyn, but there was a little green just behind Newlyn Harbour South Pier back in the day, and Tonkin's cottage was just on the edge of the old green.
Mm.
So John Henry Tonkin was a crew member on the Rosebud, as we discussed last time. But we found out from a former resident that his cottage was at one point quite haunted, and it so happened he gave us some excerpts of a diary that he kept about the haunting.
Oh, wow. Love to
So
hear
yeah,
this.
I wrote down what he said, so I'll just read out to you. So this was September 2007 to March 2008. So 6 months, I suppose. So these were the symptoms or the phenomena: wind sweeping through the building, though no windows or doors were open, and when it was not windy outside, and the wind was strong enough to blow newspapers across the room. The open fire would roar up or go out, often both within a few minutes. Feelings of presence standing behind us when we were on the sofa. Footsteps up the stairs, which is, of course, the classic haunting phenomena,
Mm.
especially on stairs to the kitchen on the lower ground floor. So the house is on 3 levels. Male voices would whisper things like, "It's time to go now, my lovely. Better move yourself, my handsome." Chattering children's voices and items being moved and reoccurring again in strange places. So
Mm.
mostly the classic hauntings, but it's interesting that there is a ghost here talking in Cornish dialect, which is a feature we quite like.
Yes. Was it different voices or just the same person? Just
Just the
one?
one male
Just
voice
one?
and children's
Mm.
voices. So you might surmise it was John Henry Tonkin still in his house,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the notes, he said that he would frequently fall up the kitchen stairs for no apparent reason. And one of the 3 bedrooms was bitingly cold, even when it wasn't particularly cold, even in the winter. So,
Mm.
again, we're all familiar with stories about one room being particularly cold.
Yes. Yeah. So was it like an active, intelligent haunting, or was it like an echo of the past replaying itself? Could they interact
Well, we did
with it?
speak to him, and if he's saying it's time to go, I would assume he was politely trying to move him on.
Mm.
Now, I actually made contact with the current owner, who's an Airbnb owner, but he's not aware of any recent hauntings. But then, of course, he doesn't actually live there, so
Oh, I see. Yeah.
you'd have to find the guests.
Yeah.
But that whole area has a bit of reputation. So there's supposed to be a grey lady which would appear near the Fisherman's Arms, which is just round the corner from Tonkin's cottage.
Mm.
Grey ladies are really quite a common feature of British folklore, but
Yes.
yeah, so that appears there, um, and just the whole kind of block there has a bit of a reputation. In the fairy faith in Celtic countries, there's a record that someone performed what they used to call a spirit laying on the old green there.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yes,
Yeah.
and Navy in Court just above it used to be known as Devil's Court. Interestingly enough,
Right. Were any fairy lights or fairy related things seen on the green?
not to my knowledge, it's quite a
Mm.
small green. But there was a Mrs. Simons who lived on Lower Green Street down below, and she was very knowledgeable about ghosts.
Right.
She's recorded in the Cornish Journal of Charles Lee.
Mm.
I think he was English. He came to stay in Newlyn at the end of the 1890s.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is an excerpt from the Cornish Journal of Charles Lee about a Mrs. Simons, and she lived on Green Street, which could be Higher Green Street or Lower Green Street.
Hmm.
um, about the nature of ghosts. So this is from December the 9th, 1892. A lecture on ghosts by Mrs. Simons last night. She believes no ghosts appear, but such as appear just when the breath of the departed do leave the body. The theory is that a dead person can only appear before he or she has gone to the place appointed. Once they are in heaven, they have no wish to return. If it is the other place, they can't return if they wish. But in the interval, it is only reasonable to suppose that they may take the opportunity of visiting dear friends. So we can see there that Mrs. Simons believed in ghosts within a Christian framework,
Mm.
which was quite common here years ago. People really, really believed in the supernatural without thinking that it contradicted Christianity in any way.
Yeah, and then you've got the in between the spiritualists, haven't you? Which are kind of
Yeah, yeah, there
a
is a
mix.
spiritualist church in Penzance.
Yeah. Mm. So it sounds her beliefs sound similar to the spiritualists'
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
belief.
So yeah, I mean, she might have been a spiritualist, but she was apparently very very knowledgeable about the ghosts, and of course, she happened to live in this kind of haunted block at the west end of Newlyn near us, which is quite
Ah,
interesting. Yeah. So the whole
fascinating.
block, yeah, the whole block has a bit of a reputation. But there's an interesting ghost story from the fairy faith in Celtic
Oh,
countries.
okay.
This is the story. Granny, which is in quotes referring to a nickname, told about a boat named the Blucher going from Newlyn to Bristol with 6,000 mackerel, which put in at Arbor Cove close to Padstow on account of the bad weather. The boat dragged her anchors and was lost. Granny afterwards declared that he saw the crew going up over the Newlyn slip, and the whole of Newlyn and Mousehole believed him. And that was a story given by Uncle Billy Pender of Mousehole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different stories I found like that where there's been some kind of disaster and the people are then seen alive afterwards. A big family in Mousehole,
Yes, and
real Mousehole name Pender.
of course that part of Cornwall you've got is quite a small landmass and lots of water around you, haven't you?
Yeah, so yeah,
So,
there's no shortage of disasters. Unfortunately,
um,
I've got a photograph of some orbs at the morning here, but of course, because we're
yeah,
on camera, I can't show you. That's just come up in my scrolling.
I mean, it would have been a really busy port, wouldn't it? A really busy
Oh
fishing
yeah,
port.
yeah. He was
So,
stacked out with boats years ago. In fact, at one time, Mousehole was so full that the last two boats in would have to actually be moored up in Mousehole Gaps, which
mm,
is the entrance to the harbour. There were so many boats they wouldn't fit inside. Smaller than us, but yeah, that's how many ghosts there were, how many boats there were.
wow. So this block that you're talking about, do you mean it's like a terrace or a block of
Um,
buildings or?
yes. Well, yes. At the time it would have been, yeah. So it's just the kind of the clump of houses adjacent to the South Pier on the west side of Newlyn. So there's something in my notes here called the Mousehole Ghost Test, which is something I found in the Cornishman from 1949.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Here it is. Right. So the title is Even Greetings Questioned.
Mm.
Then there is Oswell Blakeston, another observer of the West Cornwall scene. Mr. Blakeston discovered when he was living at Sennen and Mousehole, where some of us remember him in the carefree 1930s, that the Cornishman had a special reason for saying good night. In an autobiographical essay entitled Published in Modern Reading, he writes, "It was not the spirit of friendship which made the Cornish villager say good night to the stranger. He wanted proof that the unfamiliar figure was not a ghost."
Ah,
There's a little excerpt there. So if they said hello to someone or good night, they wanted to make sure it wasn't a ghost because ghosts were so widely believed in, they could be wandering around anywhere.
Yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've heard that before. How do we tell? That idea of how do we tell who's living and who's passed on?
yes, I've read that about fairies before. They say
Yeah.
sometimes they just look like slightly odd people.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember
I've
in the Bluebell Woods up the road once, I once bumped into a boy there. Um, I think he'd sloped off from school or something, and he was so strange. I thought to myself, I wonder if he is a fairy. Just a completely and utterly bizarre boy. Really gave me the creeps.
oh, did
Not
he?
fault, I wouldn't have thought, but he was just so weird. It made me think of those folkloric encounters.
Yeah. It's when you
My
meet
big,
someone like that. Yeah.
yeah,
You,
I had my big walking stick, and he was really insistent he wanted my large stick for some reason. It was just such a strange encounter. It just made me think of all those stories about fairies being described as just very odd people.
yes. Yeah, who knows? It's so difficult to tell, isn't it, when you meet these people unawares and then they just disappear and you never see them again. Yeah, no way of
No, I mean
telling.
I don't go in there very often. We sometimes go in there to collect pine cones because we use those for plastic free Christmas decorations.
Hmm. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Matt, last time we spoke, I think it was you, you mentioned something about a rabbi that had seen mermaids.
A rabbi that had seen mermaids.
Yeah, or written he'd had mermaid experience. I'm sure it's when we were talking about sea monsters and mermaids, and you mentioned
Oh,
a rabbi.
you mean the Greek Orthodox chap, don't you?
Oh, the Greek Orthodox guy. What was he called again?
Man, David Bentley Hart. That's what he's called.
The... Oh, there we go.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi just dropped out for some reason.
Don't worry.
Always seems
Yeah,
to be the case talking about supernatural things, doesn't it? The Wi-Fi
it
plays
always
up.
seems to. Yeah, that's what happened last time, wasn't it? Just sort of.
Yeah, I've never had any problems with the Wi-Fi up here
That's
or
so
anywhere in the
strange.
house for any reason at all.
Talking about mermaids. Oh, well,
Strange, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. So thanks for sharing that about the cottage and the other ghosts and the.
Yeah, if I ever bump into a ghost there, I shall have to ask them. But it's I wouldn't normally. I've never seen anyone coming out of there, but
Mm,
they tend to be short stay guests, I think.
yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I I stayed. I didn't stay. I went for a meal in a pub a few years ago. I told this story last year, released an episode about it. And this was back in about 2002. And it was up in Linton,
Linton,
in Linton and Lynmouth. And it's quite a spooky place anyway. But
was
I,
that English Riviera? Is it?
North Devon?
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, North Devon coast. And I was there with a ex-boyfriend of mine, and we were having a meal. And we were sat at the back of the pub and in this restaurant at the back. And there was another restaurant next to us, but it was completely empty.
Ah,
And it was really cold in there. And I was just really intrigued. So I walked through this restaurant. And then at the back of that restaurant, there was like this little corridor. And then there was a library. And the
yeah.
atmosphere in there was so thick you could see it. It was like mist in
That's
there.
strange.
It was really like static electricity.
Yeah,
And I really got the creeps. I came back and I asked one of the young waiting staff, I said,
yeah.
is this place haunted? And she said, well, actually, we've had problems with the room, one of the rooms upstairs, and it was the room that was directly above the library
Ah,
that I gone into. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a male.
There was a room down just around the corner from Tonkin's cottage in one of the other cottages, and
Mm,
I remember being told that someone used to go in there and clean, and she would get kind of grainy vision, like black and white dots in that room.
yes,
and
Y-
in just one room upstairs.
Yeah, like mist. It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's like there's this, yeah, like this
yeah.
thin sort of mist.
Oh, how funny! Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just reminded me of that little story I was told. But yeah,
Oh wow. Well, there you
up into
go.
that room. So that's just well, you can't see where I'm pointing, but just over
Mm,
there, uh, just round the corner from Tonkin's cottage in that same block of
mm.
houses.
Have you experienced anything where you live? Anything strange or?
Minimally, once in a
Mm,
while we have something ping off. Um, we were sat up at the chapel the other day. Our neighbour Anna is painting an angel for Christmas to go at the front, and
mm,
we were talking about how we would be able to either keep it or get rid of it after Christmas. And I was holding this mug in my hand,
mm-hmm.
and I wasn't doing anything to it, and the handle just snapped clean off the mug.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
just
strange.
for no reason. So I think we probably won't be getting rid of it. I don't think we shall. Probably it's probably an indication it'd be wise to try and keep it.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. She's made a frame of cardboard boxes, and
Mm,
she's made a sort of life-size angel, about sort of 7 foot tall.
wow. That
But we
sounds
were all sat
incredible.
around it last night looking at it, and we were talking about after Christmas, are we going to have to get rid of this? And
Mm.
then the handle of my mug just snapped off completely clean.
Oh my gosh.
And
Someone was offended.
it is
Maybe.
strange at the chapel. You get doors opening and closing by themselves.
Oh, right. So, yeah, someone's
I think
there.
it's probably Mary Jane's grandmother,
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
as I call her.
I suppose ghosts like chapels, don't they? If they enjoyed being there. Anyway.
She used to run absolutely everything at the chapel.
Mm.
Gone by
All right.
absolutely everything. So, but that was last night, and yeah, just snapped clean off.
Wow.
It was just sat in my hand empty, and the handle just snapped off.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
But yeah, we occasionally get doors opening and closing, but nothing
Mm.
too dramatic. I do
Mm.
remember one time in our kitchen, there's a copper pan, and it hangs up above the oven.
Yeah.
And one day it just started swinging backwards and forwards, and then it just stopped.
Yeah,
Very odd.
kitchens. Yeah. So someone's spoken to me about stuff that happens in their kitchen. Seems to be one of those places where we spend a lot of time and maybe, it's a good place to get our attention, isn't it? If something wants to get
Well,
our
yeah, I
attention.
mean, we do cook from scratch a lot, so we are in there a lot. I have just
Mm.
made this fig cake. That took a little while.
Oh,
Figs go
nice.
very well down here.
Fig cake.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a big fig tree down by Keel Alley in Newlyn, so some of them were
yeah.
ripe, so I took them home earlier.
Is that fugging? Is that the
Yeah, I think basically it was, yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
the used to be that down here that grapevines would grow very well and figs would grow
Mm.
very well. So it was probably homemade raisins and figs, or yeah, home dried raisins and figs. I should imagine.
Nice.
It's
Oh,
very mild here, so
yeah.
you get some relatively exotic stuff growing down here.
Yeah, I love the tropical gardens down there and the valleys with the giant rhubarb and
Yeah,
interesting
Lamorna's like
plants.
that. They've got it growing in the river, the Gunner.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Well, if you can come down at some point, we'll try and I've been trying to design a circular walk to try and get all the places in one go.
Oh, wow. That sounds incredible. Yes, I'd
Yeah,
like to do that once I've got some spare time. I'd love to come down
yeah,
and
no
do that.
rush, but
Mm,
there is a big walk I sometimes do, get sort of round the top and back,
yeah.
so we can go to all the places we've talked about.
Gosh, that sounds
Blackpool
incredible.
long gone now, but it's still a nice walk.
Yeah. Oh, I look forward to that.
Yeah, that'd be
Thanks.
lovely. I will do. All right, I'll speak to you
Okay.
soon.
Thanks, Matt. Take
Take
care.
care.
Right.
Bye.
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 Bye.